I have been seeing the boycott of the African braid shops, and this has been an interesting year for Black Americans. This has been like a year of enlightenment for us, right? After the 2024 election happened, consciously started to re-strategize what our next move was. And our next move was to not move at all. That's very enlightening, okay? Don't think because you are not doing anything that you're not doing anything. Your absence is felt. Then I get on the news this morning and I see that they have a job report of 300,000 Black American women are no longer in the workforce due to federal work cuts and due to corporations reducing their staff size, just other issues. But it's put in DEI, so it's putting out 300,000 Black American women. Our money helps to shift the entire globe. And this is the reason why I say that. A lot of Black money has helped to raise these third world countries out of poverty. See, we buy a lot of things we're a lot of the consumer spending. They say that $1 in our community, it leaves like in 5 minutes, but it continues to circulate in Asian and white communities. Now, it's something called the canary cave. And that is, if something economically happens to one group of person and their way of earning a living, then it's just going to be a matter of time that it's going to trickle down and affect everyone else. And when Black women are not getting in funds, then they can no longer go and patronize these businesses that are camped in our neighborhoods. When they get money from us, a lot of times they're sending money back home. Many years ago, I used to own a hair braiding studio, and I learned a lot of what I did under a Kenyan woman. She was so sweet. She was like a once in a lifetime experience because she understood the importance of unity. Now, she could have opened up her place and just said, you know what, I'm just going to hire African women and that's it. But she understood that we all have something to bring in this industry. And I'd rather open up my door to you who wants to work than to open up my door to someone who may be envious against me, sabotage my business, or whatever. Later on, I opened up my own business and I continued to keep that same business model. However, when I had my hair braiding studio, and I was a license carrying cosmetologist, I was an educator. I taught for the state for a very short period of time, and I still do from time to time proctor for the cosmetology exam, the written part. So I know what I'm talking about. Now, when I used to get new customers coming to our braiding hair salon, I would get new customers because of the experience of a lot of these African braid shops. And I think that just like the Asian community and the Arab community that comes into our neighborhoods and they open up shop and do well off of Black dollars, and especially Black women's dollars, the same thing goes for the African braid shops. Who else gonna sit in those chairs? Where else are you gonna park your business? The appreciation is not there. The customer service has become awful over the past 15 years. See, this is another thing. Over the past 15 years, this is a new thing for Black women to go and get their hair braided, because I have to remind our African brothers and sisters that for many years, Black women that worked in corporate, or they were in the military, or different areas of the workforce, wearing hair braiding was something to get a call into the office. I think that you have forgotten that, for one, you're a business there to provide a service in exchange for money. Secondly, y'all have gotten necessity and support confused. See, it's not a necessity that we go to your salons and get our hair done. We can go to Black American women and get our hair done, because it would actually be a benefit to us a lot of times, because most African braiding shops, they are not licensed that work in there. You're required to get a license as a Black American. If not, then you are only working up under someone else's license, and you're supposed to really be the only one in that salon. So it's not really profitable for Black women to do hair without being licensed. It's only so far you can go. I'm going to say this, and that is what I said in the beginning on how the Black American woman dollar, it shifts the entire globe. When a lot of times when African women come to this country, whether they come by themselves or if they come with their husband. If they come with their husband, especially, because that's how they usually come. Usually they come with a husband and children. That hair braiding money is there. Many times, a lot of African men are not fortunate enough to be able to earn an education. So I don't know where you may live, but I used to live in New York, and I live down south now. So I know the comparisons. A lot of the African men that come to this country, they tend to do gig work, and it's great. Hey, you can earn a living doing that too if you got a good base. They do a lot of delivery. They used to do a lot of taxi driving, or they may open up a little African grocery supermarket. Some of them may get into insurance or accounting, but only a small percentage of them actually become doctors. Okay. Because they have a lack of education from back home in Africa, the wife is there to help supplement that household income. So a lot of times, a lot of these African hair braiding shops, they're started right in their living room in an apartment, a small apartment. And then when she feels like she's got enough clientele, then that's when her and her husband start looking for a place together. A lot of times that money is carrying, that hair braiding money is carrying that household, especially if you live up north where it's more extremely expensive. I want to mention another thing too, or just because you go to an African hair braiding shop, it doesn't mean they know how to braid. Just doesn't mean they know how to braid. Some people pick up the skill because they work as assistants, helping other people braid. But that wasn't something that they necessarily did back at home. Do you see? That's something that they had to do here because they had no other opportunities. Now, some African women, they get into the medical field. Yes, there's a lot of physicians. They work in STEM, which is great because our African folks, they are intelligent. They're intelligent. Some of them become LPNs, CNAs. But the real money is in the hair braids. And that is, lastly, this whole back and forth. We are boycotting on August the 1st from African hair braiding shops. Not only is it because I think that those business owners have forgotten that this is our sincerest demonstration of support that you are here in this country and we're wanting to support you as our African brothers and sisters, and our money shows that. Hostility towards Black American women, it's very transactional. You know, when Black American women come to get their hair, they love the experience because our hair for so long has always been weaponized against us, and so we take great pride in it. That's why you have shows like Bronner Brothers. That's why you have shows like the Natural Hair Show, Talia Waye. That's why you have such a booming Black hair multi-billion-dollar industry where big corporations are willing to invest in the Black American dollar, and especially, again, the Black woman dollar. Now, I noticed something. A lot of the behaviors that are taken out on us as Black American women, it's the same thing that they're doing in their own home country. They are hostile towards each other in their own country. They are disrespectful towards each other a lot of times in their own country. They are transactional with each other in their own country. I see the stories, I hear the stories of, there's Africans that leave their home and they come to the United States, or they go to UK, and it's like their family members can never enjoy what it feels like to be a British or American citizen because they're working so hard. They work so hard to death because somebody back home always needs something. Somebody always needs something. Somebody always needs something. And they never take the money and go and invest it wisely when they get it. And so a lot of Africans are now starting to move away from that, I'm going to send you money home. But a lot of them still do. And then you have those that get older. They worked in the United States or they worked abroad in the UK. They were able to save up enough money. They want to go back home. Well, they can't even go back home because once they land on that soil over there in the continent, their neighbors, people who may even know them personally, are so envious of them that their life is always hanging in the balance because they don't know if someone's going to be violent towards them because of jealousy. So there's always conflict.
First things a lot of Africans do when they come here, they don't learn the financial. They just want to work, and send money to Africa. Work, send money home. Don't understand the rules of America. They don't want to understand the game. Instead of learning financial education, you're in a different country. You got to know the rules. If you don't know the rules, how are you going to win in the financial system? So many people bring the same useless African mentality to America. It's not. It didn't work in Africa. Why are you bringing it here?
There's a war going on now in Kenya. There's a situation going on now in Sudan. There's always this infighting. It's always this hostility towards each other. And I think a lot of it has to do with being colonized. They are smart. They're intelligent. They are inventing things that are changing the world. But that's only a small few people. It's also an issue over there where they do not have an opportunity to just get a chance like over here in the United States. Over here in the United States, we can just wake up one morning and say, you know what? I think I'm going to give this a change. I think I'm going to give this a chance today. Or, you know what? I want to get into this profession today. See, they don't have that option a lot of times over there. They just don't. They don't have the infrastructure. They don't have the financial systems. They don't have the checks and balances and accountability with their governments. And so that's why they just stay stuck. And they claw to get over here to the United States. And I noticed that they have the same hostile, no customer service a lot of times. I'm not saying all African hair braiding shops here are like that, but an overwhelming majority are. There's a lot of times you go into these hair braiding shops and they do not speak to you unless it's about a picture that you want to show them about your hair. A lot of times they really don't have the professional training on how to care for your hair, because braiding is supposed to be a protective style, not a style that damages your hair or your scalp, causing alopecia, traction alopecia. That defeats the purpose. I'm not paying you hundreds of dollars. I can just go get a wig, or I can get a sew-in, or I can go around the corner and get my hair braided by somebody else. The reason why Black women tend to go to the African hair braiding shops is because of time. It's so much better than a Black American braiding shop. A lot of times it's just because of time. they have more people in there that are willing to braid your hair, and they're willing to split up the cost. See, when you go into a braiding shop in a Black American salon, typically they're going to have like 1 or 2 braiders there, and they're going to be able to charge that client, let's say for instance, $150. Well, when you go to an African braiding hair shop, they got to split that money 3 and 4 different ways. You see what I'm saying? And so they are like making sure they're making time, because if you're paying $250 and I got to split it with 3 other girls, that's not going to cover my rent. So you best to believe I'm going to do some really fast work so I can get the next one in the chair. You see how that works? And their cost of operation is very low. They really don't use like really good hair products. A lot of times you come there anyway with your hair already shampooed and blow dried and all of that. But the thing about those braiding salons is that a lot of Africans say we don't have culture. But hair care in America is one of the largest cultures that is connected to Black Americans. Our hair, it is something that it's an experience. Black women love going to the hair salon. That used to be like your psychologist, or that used to be your tribal meetings that you would have. It was in the hair salon. You know, I watched kids go from being a baby to grow up. Now they got kids of their own, and they used to come right through my own hair braiding studio and my hair salons in the past. So it's a sacred thing for us, and that is the reason why they are so motivated to want to boycott on August the 1st, because they feel disrespected. And I'm not going to patronize you if you don't like me. I'm just not going to do it. And I think that's the same thing that they're trying to say in this boycott. Don't get necessity and support confused. See, this is what support looks like between 2 Black people, okay? This is what support should look like over in Africa. See, we support each other over here. We buy each other's brands. We support each other's Black-owned businesses. We go to each other's barbershops, salons, nail techs. We go to other, communities, but we also support. We go to each other's soul food restaurants. We go to the West Indian. We go to the Jamaican food restaurant. We go to so many different African American, Black American businesses, Caribbean, because we want to support y'all. We're rooting for you. But along the way, y'all have forgotten that this is not a necessity. This is not a necessity for us. This is just out of support, and that we want to show you that we respect you, But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to close it out. One of the other reasons on why I think this is very important to do is because I also used to own a beauty supply store, and I've worked for an Asian family that had a beauty supply store so I can learn. I will say this, out of all of these years that I was in the hair industry, now I had my license ever since 2001, okay? And I've been teaching since 2008. I no longer teach or do hair anymore. I'm in a different profession. But my observation, okay, is that out of all of these years that I've been in the hair industry, and I see the different communities that come into the Black neighborhoods, right? The Asian, the Arab Americans, Indians, and even Latin people. Those beauty supply stores that are ran by the Asians and the Arab people, notice how they are okay with giving us a job. Yeah, they may have a business in our neighborhood, okay, but a lot of them are willing to open up their doors and kind of share the wealth with Black people and offer them jobs. A lot of Black women were able to either work there full time, or they were able to supplement their full income by working as a sales clerk at a beauty supply store. When it comes to African hair braiding shops, you can be a professional, okay? You can show your work. You could have a clientele. They do not want you in their salon. No. They do not. Notice all of the young black girls around here, right? That has so much potential. They do hair braiding. So, I mean, they create styles that I just be like, wow. The things they do with these lace fronts, I'm like, whoa. I'm just amazed, because the hair care industry has just like evolved so fast in these past few years. And all of these young girls that are around here that are working out of their homes, or they're renting these suites now, if they were to go and ask an African hair braiding shop, can I rent a booth from you? They would not give them an opportunity to do it. And see, that's a problem. That's a problem. Because they're building up their own clientele. So it's not necessarily taking from you, it's adding to you. And that is another issue on top of the other issues that has motivated black women to say no more on August the 1st. And it will affect certain parts of Africa, because either it's going to take away from their ability to be able to pay the rent. So many things that are dependent upon black women sitting in those chairs. It depends on them sitting in those chairs. And we also know that domestic violence increases when poverty starts to hit households. And we don't want to see that. You see what I'm saying? So I think that moving forward after this boycott, there are 3 things that black American women should demand. It is, 1, that you greet your customer, your client, when they come in here. You don't speak another language around them constantly. Like, don't let it be all day, you know. Ask the client, how is it looking? Don't just assume that just because they're not saying anything. Hey, black American women are very particular about their hair, and they will tell how they'll sit there all day long. They'll give you a chance. But if you sit up there and jack up their hair, they're gonna make you take it all out. It ain't about no money, because they'll come in. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have problems now. You got some horror stories of black American women in black American hair salons. Now, I'm not saying that don't exist. I'm just talking about this in particular. But they got some money when they come and see you, and they just want it done right. They want to be complimented when they walk out their door. They want to feel confident and beautiful when they walk out that door. Make sure that you know these techniques. All right. Just because you're an African hair braiding shop, it doesn't stop you from taking classes. If you're not licensed and certified in your state, you need to do that, because you need to learn better hair care solutions for your clients. Because there's just too many horror stories. You have to learn. You say black people don't have culture. Well, this is one part of our culture you're going to have to learn about, because you're failing. And you've had more than enough time. You've had more than enough. There's more black American women that will support an African woman than they would support somebody they grew up with. So that's how I know we've given you grace. We've supported you. We've provided our wallets to you. And at the end of the day, you treat us worse than someone from another race group. You know? When you go to the nail shop, a lot of times you don't have no problem with the Vietnamese people doing your nails. They understand the exchange of business here in America for the most part. Of course, there's always horror stories. There's always exceptions to the rule. But even the Vietnamese, they were able to establish their nail shops in the black neighborhoods, for a long time. They're just now really starting to get into a more predominantly upwardly mobile shopping centers. But for a long time, they started their businesses in black women's neighborhoods. And they understood the importance of time, because black women don't have a lot of time here in the United States. We're too busy trying to earn a living. There's a lot of things that we're also carrying on our back that African women feel like they're carrying on their back. You open up your doors for black American women to come in there and also rent from you, a booth from you, and be fair about it. Be fair about it. You know, there's such a lack of concern. You know, like a lot of these African hair braiding shops is transactional. They come here, they're trying to survive, and I get it. But it's so cold sometimes, you know. There's no camaraderie, there's no exchange. When black women get their hair done, a lot of black hairstylists, they know these women for years. They go to their hairstylist funeral, weddings. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a part of our culture. And I just feel like African immigrants are just not interested in that, because they don't understand the way they had to survive over there. We had a different type of survival, and ours had a lot to do with a lot of rejection. And so we value these relationships between each other in our black circles, right? Because we've been rejected so much. Now there's so much hostility against black American women from our own men. So there's always some type of need to feel like you have a place that you can get a service done and you can relax at least for a little while, and then feel refreshed to continue your work. And that's it. Of course, there's probably other things that people would like to add to it, but this is what support looked like. Supporting Africa looked like black American women getting off their jobs or getting ready to get on a plane to go out of town, and they got a handful of cash and they're ready to give it to you to braid their hair. Support looks like black American women purchasing your hair, because that's also boosting up your income. Not only are they paying for the service, but they're also paying for you when you stock the hair. So that's another service that they have been giving back to you. But black women have never got anything in return from African braid shops. Nope. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And also too, I want y'all to be careful on some of these shops. A lot of these women do not know how to braid hair. I don't know how much I can enforce that. I mean, I've had women sit in my chair where I had to take their stuff down. And I'm like, if I would have did your hair like that, you'd have had the police up here. I mean, I've seen boxes, like they'll do it real big squares in the back and then braid it down flat at the top so you can't lift it up. And it's a mess. Like, it's pretty on top. It looks beautiful on top. But you better not get knocked down by no wind, because you going to look like Psycho Bob up under there. I've seen some of these hairstyles. Mess. And you know, the best African hair braiders, in my opinion, are up in New York. Up north. Like, I'll even say, okay, Philly, New Jersey, New York. Okay? Because once you start going down, DC. But once you start going past DC, things start getting a little shaky. But please do like, share, and subscribe, and let me know what you think. I love to hear from you. Thank you.